up. Reach out. Speak up. Speak out. You are the voice of a new generation. And this
is your station.
Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM.
Beautiful morning to you out there as you join us on our newspaper review on Citizen FM 93.7. We sincerely apologize for coming very late on the show, but then better late than never. So it's going to be as usual. We review a lot of newspapers, and our guest is already in the house. Our in-house analyst, Mr. Salman Salami. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, our grand presenter.
Addressing me in borrowed ropes. Anyway, I assure you it's going to be a very fulfilling time on radio as you stay with us as we take this journey on the media space to see what other newspapers are saying this morning. And what a way to start than from The Punch newspaper. And one of the trending stories was the inauguration of the Minimum Wage Review Committee by the Vice President yesterday, and as expected, reactions have started trailing that. And one of them is from the NLC President. He says most governors in the review committee not paying minimum wage. The President, Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has criticized the selection process of state governors drafted as members of the 37-member tripartite committee on minimum wage, noting that most governors on the panel do not pay current minimum wage. So that's from the Punch newspaper. I'm sure that Mr. Salami will have one or two things to say when we go into the details of the newspaper review. But that's it from the Punch newspaper. Already the NLC, finding one or two things to say about that committee. Well, still staying on the Punch newspaper, 300 stranded Euro-bound Nigerians return from Libya. Oh, another sad story. More than 320 Nigerians stranded in Libya have been rescued with the International Organization for Migration coordinating moves to help them return to Nigeria. War torn Libya has become a key departure point on North Africa's Mediterranean coast for migrants, mainly from other parts of Africa, risking dangerous sea voyages in hopes of reaching Europe. Well, I'm sure also that Mr. Salami will also have one or two things to say about that. From the Punch newspaper, we move on to leadership. Back to labor issues, and still on the minimum wage committee. Committee asked to give Nigerian workers living wage. Well, President Bola Tinubu has stated that the new national minimum wage should be grounded in principles of social justice, equity. He disclosed this when he inaugurated the tripartite National Minimum Wage Committee yesterday at the presidential villa. So that's rather inspiring from the president. We hope at the end of the day, the output of that committee will be to the satisfaction of all the parties involved. And from minimum wage to security matters, as this National Assembly resumed yesterday, and they had one or two things to say, and we will check out what the Senate especially said concerning the security issues in Nigeria. We'll be back after a moment. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still newspaper review on Citizen FM 93.7. And let's move on to the Daily Trust. This is a story about pension. Says 20 years after, 26 states failed to implement new pension scheme. That's an exclusive story by the Daily Trust newspaper. 20 years after the enactment of the pension reform, the Nation newspaper. And yes, this is the story I was looking for. The National Assembly resumed yesterday, and senators, reps seek urgent action against insecurity. The Senate says it will meet with President Bola Tinubu next week on the spate of insecurity after a parley with security chiefs. This is according to Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Also, the House of Representatives Speaker Tajuddin Abbas urged the President to make tougher decisions to halt the killing. We will dwell in details when we open the phone lines on that. And still staying with the Nation newspaper, we see the story, yes. Federal government working hard to bring down inflation and exchange rate. The federal government's battle to stem inflation exchange rate is total. This is according to the Information and National Orientation Minister, Mohammed Idris. Idris said the government was deploying the required measures, including devoting various ministries and agencies under its construction to bring down rising inflation and stabilizing the foreign exchange market for the prosperity and comfort of all Nigerians. That's inspiring also from the Minister of Information. And we back to mining stories, staying with the Nation newspaper. Federal government vows to recover unpaid royalties from miners. This story dominated yesterday and is still developing, and perhaps that's why the Nation newspaper is still using the story. Says the federal government says it is poised to recover several trillions of naira unpaid royalties, taxes from licensed miners. The government also vowed to block all areas through which it loses revenue in the mining sector. We say amen to that. Anything that will bring more money to the coffers of the Nigerian government, we say amen to that. And still staying with the Nation newspaper, federal government probes 17 cases of data breaches against banks, hospitals, schools, and others. This is from the Nation newspaper. Says the federal government has said one of its agencies, the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, is investigating 17 major cases of data breaches and violations. That's huge. The Commission's National Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, announced this while addressing reporters yesterday in Abuja. So, the government is not taking that line low. Maybe we take one story before we leave the Nation newspaper, and let's see. Okay, Polytechnic lecturers threaten strike over 35,000 naira wage award and others. I will say not again to that. And back to, yes, from the speaker again. It says only good governance can sustain democracy in Africa. That's coming from the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It says parliaments across Africa must ensure good governance to sustain democracy. Abbas said this when he hosted a delegation from the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of African Parliaments. That's a good one from the Nation newspapers. from the Nation to the Tribune. 85% of cases we receive at NHRC are related to women child abuses. That's the National Human Rights Commission. And from the chairman is saying that more than 85% of cases of violations pertain to children and women, and this is not good at all. That's from the Tribune newspapers. And still on the Tribune, Forex backlog, central bank pays additional $64 million. We hope this will act as a relief to that sector. Nigeria lost 2 billion naira yearly to underexplored cocoa industry. This is according to Omoette and Wale Edo and other ministers of government speaking. The stories in the Tribune newspaper. Olani Pekun to deliver OOU's 40th convocation lecture. Still in the Tribune. Armed forces are critical partners in our revenue collection mandate. This is according to the FIRS chairman. And Nigeria ComSat advocates homegrown satellite solution for insecurity. All the stories are in the Tribune newspaper. And one last story, Afenifere passes vote of confidence in Adebanjo. If you've been following the controversy over the leadership in that socio-cultural organization, you will want to read the story. And still on the Tribune newspaper, FG evacuates 327 Nigerians from Libya. Atiku presidency trade words over Tinubu's private trips. Well, that's politics, and that's in the Tribune newspaper. All right, let's head to this day newspaper before we open the phone lines. Minimum wage. Federal government urges committee to be guided by social justice, timely completion of task. This is how the This Day newspaper put the story. And NNPC wants South Korean investment in Nigeria's gas sector. That's still from This Day newspaper. And on the sub-region, Mali, Burkina Faso signed formal notice of withdrawal from ECOWAS. And still on the This Day newspaper, Ndume hails President Tinubu for transferring crude oil revenue from NNPCL to CBN. That's still on This Day newspaper. Alake, why we want private sector to drive solid minerals sector. All the stories you can find in This Day newspaper. And Nigeria records steady rise in voice internet subscription, drop in teledensity. That's on the ICT sector. If you are internet and ICT swerve, then you'll be interested in this story. And the last paper, the Guardian newspaper, before we open the phone lines, the Guardian newspaper also stay with the labor story. Workers demand living wage as FG unveils negotiation committee. That's how the Guardian newspaper poses the story. And for some business news, CBN cautions forex dealers against market manipulation in Nigeria. That's the business side. And on security issues, again, Senate summons security chiefs over insecurity. And money matters, employers not filing tax returns on time could be prosecuted. Well, this is a warning to employers of labor. If you don't feel tax returns on time, you could face prosecution from the relevant authorities. There's this story on crime. Police officer, murder suspect, cultists, others nabbed over crimes in Ogun State. And play by the rules or face sanctions. FG warns mining firm. And NNPC woos South Korean investors to gas project. Sign executive order on unexplained wealth. That's coming from Senator Aline Dume to the president. He's urging the president to sign an executive order on unexplained wealth. I'm sure we will deal with that later in the course of the program. There's this rather sad story on The Guardian. Passengers, traders fear death in Rivers boat fire. Oh, not again. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still newspaper review on Citizen FM 93.7. The phone lines are open. You can join the discussion. 0903 2229 797. That's 0903 2229 797. You can also call us on 0818 2222 205 or 0818-2222-206. Any of these numbers, let us talk. You can also send us a WhatsApp message on any of the numbers, and we will be glad to pick your numbers and read your message. Mr. Salami is ready to give us some perspective on some of the story. Let's start with this story from The Punch newspaper. Mr. Salami, most governors in review committee are not paying minimum wage, according to the NLC president. It's like our people used to say that if a man promises you a shirt, you take a look at what he's putting on. Is not likely to give you anything better. So perhaps what the NLC president is saying, those who cannot pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage are now made to decide the fate of the new minimum wage. What do you think about this?
Well, good morning, our super citizen listeners. Like my presenter apologized. Let me apologize again for starting this program late. We are pretty sorry, please. Now to the issue of minimum wage and what is credited to my brother, Comrade Joe Ajeru, as regards some members of the tripartite committee who do not even by now pay the 30,000 national minimum wage and been on the committee. Oh my God, how do we start to analyze this? And my good friend and the able presenter added to it that, well, if a man promises you a dress, the first thing you do is you look at the one he's wearing. If the one he's wearing is torn, chances are that you won't get anything from him. I will not subscribe to that, not in totality. Well, I want Mr. Joe Ajeru, Comrade Joe Ajeru, the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, to express cautious optimism, just the way he did, or rather, to be optimistic about it. Let's give praises for the federal government to have set up that 37-member committee in itself and by itself is heartwarming. For the federal government through the vice president who inaugurated the committee yesterday to say that be guided by the principle of social justice is salutary. What I do not really understand is what in the Nigerian context is social justice. What in the Nigerian context will amount to minimum wage? What again? Given our peculiar situation as it is today, should be a wage that it will be minimum and that will take you home. These are big questions, and we should be guided by morality. What do I mean by that? Quite many members on that panel, they know what the situation in the country is today. Let us be sincere with ourselves. How much do we give our children who are students as monthly stipends? I have a sister friend who gives the children 60,000 as stipends. This is not to say that they should give workers 60,000 or less or more. It is not my job. But what I'm saying is this: let us be guided by morality. Let us be guided by good conscience. Let us take into consideration the peculiarities of our time. The inflationary trend is there. What is the worth of the naira? What is the worth of the naira? I will stop at that.
Mr. Salami, yes, I think I subscribe to the fact that we need to pay attention to the peculiarity of our situation. Yes, the inflation and everything, and we should also be mindful of the state of the economy and the inflow of funds to the Nigerian state. So that I think the bottom line is for the members of the committee to discharge their duty diligently with utmost patriotism in mind, because they need to balance a lot of things. Times are hard, people are hungry and everything, but also how much is coming in. You don't make expectations when you know that okay, for example, 100 naira comes in, and you decide to say, okay, out of that, government should use 90 naira to pay workers. That's not reasonable. So I think every one of them will need to be patriotic and put the cards on the table, especially members of the labor union. Put the cards on, and government officials also need to be genuinely sincere in putting all the cards on the table and say, gentlemen, this is everything. This is what we earn. This is what we can afford. And at the end of the day, promises that are not intended to be kept are not made, because that's always the major problem at the end of the day. If any figure is agreed to voluntarily, let it be accepted by all and let it be followed up. I think with that we will not have much problem, Mr. Salami. Let's move on to another disturbing story, Mr. Salami. 300 stranded Nigerian Euro-bound Nigerians return to Nigeria. This is almost a weekly occurrence, and these ones, we could say that they are lucky. A lot of others end up down the sea, dead. A lot of others, you don't even see their corpses, and they keep going. Let's take some perspective from the story, the way the Punch newspaper carried it. More than 320 Nigerians stranded in Libya have been rescued, with the IOM, that's the International Organization for Migration, coordinating moves to help them return to Nigeria. Foreign countries like the United Kingdom tightens their immigration policies. Many Nigerians are still raising to leave the country and everything, following the wave of Japa and everything. Mr. Salami, what's your impression about all this?
This is a very, very saddening one. And we can tackle all these existential problems if we are sincere and we are really, really ready to tackle it. To start with, 300 Nigerians stranded in Libya en route Europe. These 300 Nigerians, who are they? What is their qualification? Why are they going to Europe? What are they going to do in Europe? Tell me the skill, the services, or what they do, what they think they have that Europe want. It is attitudinal problem. Is the problem of the mind. Is the problem of the mindset, and perhaps the fanciful story being bandied about that Europe is lined with gold. All you need is get to Europe. When you get to Europe, of course, your situation has changed. Ipso facto. But is that the truth? And the way to Europe is through Libya. Please, I think the National Orientation Agency, as one of the organs of government, with the mandate of changing the mindset and telling Nigerians what they should know and what they should do, should be up and doing. We as Citizen FM, we are ready to help the government in this regard. It is attitudinal. Let Nigerians know that there is no shortcut to success in life.
Okay, I hope a lot of Nigerians will hear that, but sometimes some people will argue that it's not as if they don't know. Some of them will say, if it's that hard, why are the people there not coming back to Nigeria? But then I think no one is discouraging people from leaving the country. But if you have to leave, you go through the legal route.
That's right.
And you make sure that you have value that you want to add to your host country at the end of the day.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Why is it that Lebanese are coming here in droves? Indians are coming to Nigeria in droves. And you see, I have been telling whoever cares to listen that there are opportunities in this country. That is not to say that there is no hardship in the land. There is, and I admit that. But what I'm saying is that the mindset and the rigors that you are going through and you are ready to go through to get to Europe, if you do get to Europe anyway, if you are ready to expend half of that and that trust and belief in Nigeria, you will get it right and you will make it. There are opportunities in this country. It is a question of telling our words what and what to do, equipping them and not shielding them from the realities of life. Quite many of our students in the university, they believe that immediately after youth corps, it is to buy Jaguar, to buy ML350, to live in Guzampe or Asokoro. Yes, you will still eventually live in posh areas. Yes, eventually you will make it in life. But Rome
was not built in a day. All right. Well, let's do some politics here, or let's talk about some political stories here. Okay, security issues. Again, Senate summons service chiefs over insecurity. The Senate has again summoned service chiefs to appear before it next week and provide lasting solutions to the widespread insecurity in the country. Mr. Salawi, don't forget, yesterday we were talking about the fact that the National Assembly was resuming and that a lot of things are on its plate. So the Senate has decided to go the way of first, the Senate President said after this interaction with the service chiefs, the leadership will seek an audience with the President on the way forward. What do you think about this?
It is misfeeling in the sense that meeting with the service chiefs and later meet with the Mr. President, it is good, but in itself and by itself is not enough. Why am I saying this?
Okay.
They've been meeting with the service chiefs and they've been meeting with the President. In actual fact, the President has been giving directive.
Marching orders.
it means something fundamental is still wrong. It means something that has to be done has not been done. Let me tell you, you may, if you wish, summon the service chiefs 1,000,000 times. If the right thing is left undone, we won't still get result.
So what
are those right things? One, there must be the political will to end insecurity in this country.
Okay.
There must be the courage and the willingness on the part of both the government and the citizenry to do it. These so-called kidnappers, these so-called bandits, are they ghosts? A situation whereby kidnappers will ask for 100 million ransom and it will be paid is not acceptable. Will ghosts come and collect the money? The money cannot be traced? Come on, let us face the fact. Along the line, so many loopholes are there. Are we really ready to end insurgency in this country? Because I believe the ragtag bandits, they are in no way near the Nigerian army. Of course, it's not the Nigerian army that we know that have made exploits, both nationally and internationally. The political will to end this insurgency should be there. We cannot, like demented hens, be sucking our own. There must be an end to killing in this country.
And I say amen to that. There should be an end. Well, you can still join us on the show. The numbers are open. The lines are free now. 0903 2222 0903 2229 797 or 0818 2222205. You can also call us on 0818 2222206. Any of these numbers. From the Senate to the House of Representatives, Mr. Salami, the Speaker made a very fundamental submission yesterday. He says only good governance can sustain democracy in Africa. Let's take some perspective to that report. House of Representatives Speaker Tajuddin Abbas said that parliaments across Africa must ensure good governance to sustain democracy. Abbas said this when he hosted a delegation from the chairman of the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of African Parliament. He said even though military in Africa has been politicized, the only way to keep them out of politics is by ensuring good governance. According to him, this will be achieved when the parliament work with executive arm of government to give the people good governance. Mr. Salami.
The Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas pontificating. That is good. Good governance. Let's break it down. What is good governance? What amounts to good governance? There is no dogoturenshi to this. Good governance simply means delivering to the people as agreed while you are campaigning the bountiful dividends of democracy contained in your manifesto. Is that too much of a thing to do? Potable water, good housing, access to education, access to good health, affordable, good health, and so many, and make life meaningful to the people in such a manner that people will say, yes, the government is working, the government is functional, and of course, seeing public office as public trust that must not be abused. This is just by the way. It is not all that is to good governance. But let us be sincere with ourselves. The military can never be kept out of politics. They can only be kept out of partisan politics. Because we must have a correct operational definition of what we are saying. Any animal is a political being.
Correct.
They cannot be apolitical. The only thing that can keep them away from attempting what should not be attempted is good governance. And this is defined by what the people, we the people, in whom the sovereign or sovereignty lies, will determine. Because at the end of the day, power belongs to the people. It's the people who determine what good governance is.
All right, we hope that the people will do that. And politics, just like Mr. Salami said, is everyday activities amongst humans and even animals. So maybe partisan politics, but then the story goes on. From that, Mr. Salami, another story that touched my heart was this story from Daily Trust. 20 years after 26 states failed to implement new pension scheme. And this is the story. Investigations show that while some states are partially implementing the scheme, others are yet to join, just as others have the bill to domesticate the scheme stuck to their respective state legislative assembly. The Pension Reform Act introduced the contributory pension scheme for payment of retirement benefits of employees in both public and private sector, which is being managed by the National Pension Scheme. Mr. Salam, before you, the first question you would want to ask is, what is the function of the state assembly? These 26 states that have defaulted, do they have state assemblies?
Yes, they do. If you want my answer.
And do they have activists in those states, or all the activists are concentrated in Abuja?
The question we should rather ask is this. The so-called lawmakers who are members of the State House of Assembly, whose interests are they there to protect? Until the people, we the people, take up the gauntlet. I am not inciting, and I will never incite the people against any constituted authority. That is not what we do at Citizen FM here. We have said it times and times over that we be critical if there is the need to be critical. What will not do is will not be hostile. The people should take up the gauntlet and ask questions.
Hold leaders to account.
Yes. They are your representatives. They are to serve you. You are not to serve them. They are to serve you. You elected them. They are there and they will remain there if they are faithful to their mandate. But we are docile. We the people, we are docile. We don't hold them to account. We don't demand accountability from our public office holders. And until we are alive to our civic responsibilities, we can't continue to do things as usual and expect unusual results. We'll still be getting the same usual result. Let's stop willing.
Well, this is just like Mr. Salami said, I think calling on citizens that yes, it's okay to beam your searchlight on activities of the federal government, but only if you're staying in a state, also be interested in what is happening in your state, what is happening in your local government, what is happening to your federal lawmaker and also to your state lawmaker. Ask questions. I'm sure a lot of them came with promises last year. You should have a note. Those of them who promised 1, 2, 3, it's 8 months down the line. Which of those promises have they attempted or they're working on? And this, and also the activists is not just enough to saturate the social media with a lot of hot air and everything, but also let's see, focus what is happening in our local governments, in our state. A lot is happening, and that is where majority of Nigerians' lives are affected at the end of the day. Because it's, if you ask me, it's embarrassing to find a situation like this. After so many years of this law, 26 states are yet to do something about it. It's not really, and most of these people will be the first to point accusing fingers at the federal government. So that's the situation we need to work on. Well, it's still Citizen FM 93.7 newspaper review, an extended version by virtue of the fact that we started late, and we have a few minutes to grab one or two calls. You can call us on 0903 22 797. You can also call us on 0818 22 205. Debayo, I can see your call trying to come in and it's going off. You can try 0903 22 797. Yes, let's stick to that for now, because I don't know what's happening today. So we will be back after this short break. Please don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still newspaper review on Citizen FM 93.7. Before we wrap up, Mr. Salami, yes, you were about to say something?
Yes, I want to talk about what Senator Ali Ndume said, that he will want Mr. President to sign the executive order bill over the unexplained wealth.
Mm-hmm. You think this will see the light of day?
This is a tall one. Whether it sees the light of the day or the darkness of the day, we must talk about it. Unexplained wealth is what Nigerians should be concerned about. If your son is not a laundryman and he comes home with cloth every day, of course it is clear that we have seen the face of a robber. Unexplained wealth is what we should talk about, and we should be sincere and serious about it. Because if we continue to reward bad behavior, if we continue to give chieftaincy title to Mr. Nobody of yesterday, who is now Mr. Everybody of today, without any verifiable means of livelihood, we will have ourselves to blame. Let's leave it at that for now.
Well, I think for me, I think while it is, it might sound popular among a lot of Nigerians, it's really from experience not likely to be something that will see the light of day. Mr. Salami, I always like to be a realist, and besides, if we are serious about stuff like that, we should go the way of a constitutional amendment and not just an executive order, because you'll be shocked that somebody will go to court and challenge that executive order, and because our constitution today does not provide for you to explain how you make your money, or what you call unexplained wealth. So if you have an executive order that says that, and it's in collusion with the constitution, you know what will happen. So if we are really serious about that, we should go the route of a constitutional amendment, which the interest at play there. If you ask me, if that sails through, 50% of the corruption cases will be dealt with, because people will know that, in fact, the government doesn't need to prosecute you. They don't need to prove that you are the criminal. With that unexplained wealth, if it becomes law, it means that all the government needs to do is explain how, as a civil servant, a deputy director, you have 5 filling stations and 24 hotels across the country. Please explain. But the way it is now, if such a man has those things, you are the one that will prove that those things were gotten through the proceeds of crime. See? But I think, Mr. Salami, it's always a pleasure to have you on Newspaper Review, especially your wealth of experience and your institutional memory in affairs of governance and government relating to media and everything. Thank you so much. Tomorrow will be another day.
Continue to dress me in ballroom.
Okay, well, let's have a beautiful day. It's the normal programmings, regular programmings continue on Citizen FM as you stay tuned. Don't forget, 7 a.m. tomorrow, bright and early Newspaper Review. My name is Lawrence Omoette, and my guest has been Salmon Salami, Chief Operating Officer of Citizen FM. Have a beautiful day ahead.